Hello Pisces, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I'm preparing now to do your reading here. I have been pre-shuffling, but for some reason I feel like I should shuffle on camera for you. Not all readings was like that, but that's what I feel like. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so I felt a need to go back and watch my Aries reading for this round of readings. Because usually, Pisces, you represent, for me, not always, but sometimes it's like when I start with the Aries, it's like there is a theme of something. And it goes through all of the readings. In some way it touches upon something like that. And eventually we end up with you, Pisces, like you coming in with like this conclusion of a message, right? That is usually, you would say, completion, or at least maybe an advice moving forward, or and with you being like the feminine water sign, maybe a different touch to something, right? So the Aries reading was about you would say a dragon in a bird's cave, not knowing to unlock some kind of information that they may have or they feel they could potentially bring forth. Being in the wrong environment, like if you are a highly intelligent child, and you grow up in a family who doesn't get you, right? And is constantly, correcting what you're talking about. Eventually, that child may learn to keep their voice in, to not speak their truth, right? Because it seems like there are no ears here who wants to hear what I have to say. Or when I come forth with solutions, nobody is listening. Or it's like my message is too big for this world. It's like the world is not ready for this, right? I think, and there was a king of air prominent in that reading. So, and we're not going to talk about Aries in that sense. It's just that was the beginning of this round of readings. What I feel with this is the unlocking of an emperor, the unlocking of maybe a divine masculine energy on earth, trying to figure out how to come in, how to make itself available for us here. But only certain things can be available if you live in a third dimensional energy. There is no divine feminine and there is no divine masculine in the third dimension. It simply doesn't work like that. The vibrations are too low. Like it doesn't allow for divine intervention. Usually the third dimensional energy is also, it's closed up, it's separated. It's separated from the divine, it's separated from itself sometimes. How it expresses itself is through lack and scarcity and pain and suffering. And we all have some kind of history with this. If you don't have it, your parents may have, or grandparents, you know. Many places on earth still have this with starvation, hunger, failed crops, you know, people in refugee camps due to war and things like that. It's still expressed a lot here. Because of that energy, it's simply not like a higher vibrational energy cannot be expressed. That's what it is. And now my Aquarius is speaking, right? He's saying, my inner Aquarius, my Mars is Aquarius. That's how he sees it. And this is typical for Aquarius energy, right? It's talking like that. It's physics. Like it's not doable. A certain vibration doesn't allow for high vibration to coexist with it. It exists, but it's separated from it. It's not merged, you know. The merging comes over time, where they are approaching each other, you could say. And this is what happens when you do healing work or shadow work. You can have a different energy come into your life, that you suddenly see things in a new way. You experience things in a new way. You may have what some would call a bit of otherworldly experiences. Some would say it's crazy, right? You just paranoid, or maybe not paranoid. You are paranoid is the third dimension. But experiencing bliss or higher states of love is, to some people, living in the third dimension, existing there in separation and living in suffering and lack. They would just say that this is fantasy. This is just a dream. It's not real. It can't be real, right? Because in their world it's not real. But because we can see it, or because I can feel what you feel, doesn't mean that it's not true for you, does it? Some of the energy that came through today for you Pisces was something like, and this corresponds a little bit with your your shadow, a shadow side of you, which is escapism. And I understand, Pisces, why you sometimes run, or why you choose to go somewhere else, because it's very uncomfortable. I've talked about Pisces before being the oldest water sign. You have been a crab once. You have been a Scorpio once. You know what that's like. You're the wisest, most open, most spiritually gifted, intuitive, but also very vulnerable, you could say, in the sense that you have no claws to defend yourself. You have no shell. You are actually widely open. And it means that you need a life that corresponds with that. You need an environment that corresponds with that for you to feel relaxed and safe. And you know that you can just be who you are without constantly needing to be on guard, right? For sharks to come in, you know? In a higher dimensional realm, you would thrive. That would be your territory. That would be exactly where you belong. In the third dimension, this is not the same. It's a dangerous place for a Pisces, an open Pisces. Because the third dimension, well, there's duality and it's constantly seen. Because there's constant judgment, there's constant competition. There's a constant ruling of good and bad. There's a scanning. Everybody scans for something, right? Like scanning for something that fits us, scanning for something that is uncomfortable for us, even threatening to us. Everybody scans in some way. Some more than others. You probably scan quite a lot, I guess. I'm a Cancerian sun, so I know about the scanning also. It's kind of an inbuilt thing, I guess. But you know, being a Piscean here in the third, fourth, and maybe fifth dimension, it's like there are different timelines existing at the same time. So depending on where you are, life will feel terrible or threatening, I guess. Or you have at least a life where you are on guard. Or you could actually have a feeling of things are quite well here for me. It depends on the timeline you tune into here. And that comes with shadow work. It comes with release of fears, of letting go of things. And it comes with, you could say, I think for you, Pisces, it's extremely important that there is a sense of spiritual protection, that God has your back. You know, I have these hands on the front picture that are, well, they are hands, but it's like, I see it as God's speed, divine timing, but also protection, right? That something holds you or keeps you somehow. Because if something holds you and keeps you, you don't have to be on guard. You can relax. As I said, you can just flow and be the little fish in the water, you know. There's no danger. Even though there could be bigger fish, they have no interest in you. Like they just swim along. They just swim by, you know. That you don't, like you just coexist with everything else and there's peace there, right? There's no danger somehow. That would be probably a feeling of a higher dimensional, a bit of like, you know, like Eden, paradise on earth for a little fish, right? That it would be comfortable here. I can just relax. I don't need to escape. I don't need to hide. I don't need to scan all the time. The scanning is an occupying thing. It occupies you. Especially if you are in environments that don't fit you. Then you're constantly challenged. Constantly, you know, your alert or your nervous system is always active. So it's important for Pisces to find environments, even in the third dimension, that is best possible for you and what is right for you. And maybe not what society dictates, right? Because society dictates us to be strong and masculine and powerful and athletic and what's that called? Keeping up pace, quick, effectful. You know, it's definitely masculine favored. It is. It's about what we do, what we present of maybe physical stuff, right? And that is not your realm, is it, Pisces? Your realm is the non-physical, the feminine side. Highly intuitive, highly feelers, highly skilled, you know, in navigating this special realm, right? That is your territory, right? And you're extremely skilled in this. You're the oldest water sign. Meaning that as opposed to a Cancerian, which I am, some of my feelings can be quite immature. Like my interpretation can be naive in some sense. I don't think yours are. Like you have a different way because it has matured. The Pisces is a matured water energy. It's considered, you know, the elderly in the zodiac, who has lived, right? They have lived a full life. They have gotten themselves through the naive, innocent, small waters of Cancerian, and they have dived into the deep ocean of Scorpio, right? They have tried everything in the water. Now they are in a different position. They can actually navigate without a shell. Not saying it's easy, right? But they can. They have learned how to and adapt it to. So you have a matured emotional response, but you also know when things get too tough, maybe you just decide to leave. Some Pisceans, I know they try to do the other thing, like they try to go uphill or swim upstream, simply to see if they can, right? If they can withstand the pressure, if they can hold themselves there. And again, maybe to toughen up, you know, to be even more, to learn even more as a Pisces, right? Piscean, it's like you are the ones, you close off a cycle. Like your own learning curve with being a Piscean, it's like you close off a cycle of some sense. You're here being a Piscean in this life to have a very special experience, closing everything off. And you are highly attuned to the feminine realm, even to what I would call the divine feminine. I believe some Pisceans are definitely in tune with the feminine, but not divine feminine. Again, depending on if you are living in the third dimension, but not thriving, right? If you have somehow healed and you connect with the fifth dimension, now you talk to the divine feminine here. And I believe that she has you, right? She's helping you to be kept so that you can relax. That's one of the things that come in, that some of the fear go away. Like the further up you come in vibration, the less fear and anxiety and suffering and pain there is. There's trust. There's a sense of, being loved and cared for and kept, which is not present in the third dimension. A Piscean in the third dimension, this is not easy at all. So I believe for a Piscean to thrive in this life, and linking back to the Aries reading where there was this feeling that something was missing to unlock like much more knowledge in this world, or to unlock an emperor, which can be also seen as a divine masculine. There is an ongoing and never stopping swing between the feminine and masculine energy in the universe. It's never going to stop. How it is expressed, though, can be very, as I said, third dimensional or higher. Like how the feminine and masculine energy is expressed in the third dimension is one way. How it is expressed in the fifth dimension is very different. And it could be the feeling of, if you have an awareness about this, there could be this feeling, how do we fix this, right? How do we fix that the third dimension seem to have like a feminine and masculine that are not on board with each other. Like they don't see eye to eye. They can't seem to find each other, really find each other. And here I talk in general terms, right? Of course, there are certain relationships that are beautiful. But if you look at the globe in itself, the wars that go on, the exploitation of children, or poor countries, it should be much more rounded and much more. There should be, like from a fifth dimensional perspective, we would say this is very unloving. It's not a kind environment. It's unkind. Even volatile. It's painful and hurtful. There can be dominance and control. There are power issues here, which is very masculine. And for a feminine, like for the feminine signs, this is very felt. Like it's a part of the feminine structure to need to protect itself. It comes apparent in childhood. It is learned from a very young age that there's a difference between sons and daughters, or girls and boys. That girls, in a certain sense, can be more vulnerable. And women know this. Girls learn. If they don't know, they will learn. So it's not a free place to express yourself. If you do, it can be interpreted in many different ways as an invitation to something, or to be taken for granted, or to be exploited, or to be abused or controlled, or something like that. It's not new. We live in a masculine world made for masculines, or made for men. And women who have many masculine traits, or in the zodiac has many masculine placements, they can thrive here. Whereas women who have many feminine aspects and men who have many feminine planet placements, they are probably struggling more here. From a fifth dimensional view, we would say that the world needs balance, that there is no true connection between or respect or acceptance of each of the energies. So it means, from a third dimensional perspective, that the energies are separated. They are not merged. We have marriage, we have sex, we have a, you could say a merging, but it's not, it doesn't stay merged. Like it can't. So to have more bliss and you could say peace and calm and harmony is a feminine trait. Whereas power struggles or competition is a masculine trait. So when these two come together, they don't see eye to eye, right? They don't have the same agenda. They don't have the same agenda. It's about seeing the quality of each other. And if we can't do that, like we are in the third dimension again, I see it as it's like we are toddlers. We take everything very personal, me included. As I said, Cancerian sun. Like I can have some very, like naive ways of reacting to certain things. Not that I'm necessarily proud of it, but that's just how it is. It's part of me. But the naive or innocent expression of certain feelings is also a part of the feminine trait. It wants to believe, it wants to trust, it wants to have the ability to just be innocently and openly expressing itself. It loves that without any restraints or that it can play safely in the garden, without anything coming and devouring it, right? It loves this ability to just be what it is. The ability to be who I am and just flow like the water I am, right? It takes a certain sense of freedom or peace, right? We can have war in the backyard and then go out and swim, right? If there's war in the backyard, we probably shield ourselves or hide, In a fifth dimensional round, there's more peace and more harmony. It's like now they have suddenly, instead of like working on two different agendas here and sticking to that, it's like they are actually facing each other more and looking at each other with more curious, more acceptance also. The interesting thing is that we, for some reason, we do know that existing alone is not an option. Like I can't exist and keeping a bloodline going without the other. The masculine knows that. The feminines know that. So for some reason we are somehow stuck with each other, right? We do need to interact, but in the third dimension it becomes like dominated by power and competition. Winner or loser. Strong or weak. Up and down, black and white. Yin and yang. You know, there is a very sharp distinction between this, and we see it constantly. Fashionable, non-fashionable. Looking good, looking bad. Fit, unfit. You know, good enough, not good enough. It's constantly around us. In the fifth dimension, it's not so much about these differences. It's more like an understanding. Again, this is a maturity level. It's a maturity thing. It's like the third dimension. I see it as like we are toddlers in the playground. So if I want your rubber shuffle, I go and take it out of your hand like that. Because I haven't learned yet to negotiate with you, right? I haven't learned to. And yes, we teach our children this, right? And we grow up and we act as if we have learned, but deep down we are still uncomfortable when we don't get our way. We have been taught to wait for your turn, make a new agreement or negotiate. But actually we don't like negotiating. We would like just to have it our way just now. We pretend that we can wait. We pretend that it's all right. But we see anger all the time. We see anger, adult anger, all over the earth. Frustrations, bitterness, power issues. We see it all over the place. We are not very good at handling this, actually. And when you put men and women together from a third dimensional perspective, you have feminine and masculine, but not divine feminine and masculine. They do not see eye to eye. Both of them still react from egotistical viewpoints. For some reason, I feel like what I'm talking about here links with the Aries reading. You can go and look it up if you want to, Pisces. It's like, in the Aries reading, it's like I had this king of air who sat there and felt, like too big in the cave, like a dragon in a bird's cave. It's like he has so much information, so much knowledge, but the frame doesn't allow for it. Like the third dimensional frame doesn't allow for an expanded knowledge, an expanded brain. It doesn't allow for us to grow up, to get what I call get over ourselves, to get over our very selfish, egotistical, and here I talk about humanity, right? It's not directly pointed at you, Pisces, right? But I talk about all of us, me included, right? That getting over my personal, my like very private and personal small, issues. In the Aquarius reading, there was a very very clear message of it's not personal. Like what we experience here on Earth, it's not personal. It's physics. The third dimension is like that. The fifth dimension is different. It's physics. If we can somehow just rely on that the way I respond, if I take things very personal, if I am animalistic, meaning that I primarily respond from my instincts and survival mechanisms, it's just because I'm in the third dimension. It's not personal, but it's expressed like that. That's how the third dimension gets expressed. That's how it shows up for us as humans. That's how we interact with low vibrational energy. That's the response we can give. We are not older than that. The fifth dimension is like a maturity thing. We have learned something. We have gotten to that place. For some reason, I feel like you know this, Pisces. Like if you have left the third dimension behind, you have healed from something. You know this. Representing maybe here actually the wisest divine feminine we can have. How do we start a new process on Earth? How do we start to make masculine and feminine look at each other instead of accusing each other of all their flaws and fighting each other? How do we get them to actually look at each other, I hear, with awe? Like there's so much power in both of them, or so much light in both of them. If they could figure out a way where they can see each other's beauty, this is where we can have an harmonious flight, what I call it, together. This is where we raise the vibration up, and this is where we support each other on Earth. This is where we figure out how to heal the Earth, get the pollution away, get healthy, good crops. We add some love here. We add some divine feminine here to the current. But the point is that the divine feminine needs a divine masculine to feel in sync. So this is a question of the egg and the hen, right? What comes first? What starts a process? Because we must face that the third dimension, we don't see eye to eye. We do not have harmonic flight together. So to raise that vibration up, we need new generations of healthy children. We need new generations of getting over ourselves, actually being mature and not pretending to be. I think you know this, Pisces. You know something like that, right? And I believe that there has to be a starting wave, that something or someone or a group of people, it's said that there are 144,000 light workers on Earth, like a wave that comes in, like a new energy that starts pulling or pushing something, right? It starts, they heal, they become healers, they become speakers, they become, They question the current, like I may be doing here, right? Questioning the current. And I think because you are the last zodiac, it's like this is one of the missing pieces that we need, right? We need to have the conclusion of something to kind of figure out how to move a process forward, to have a more harmonic flight. But and this is very interesting and prominent for the feminines, you could say, because the feminines have been, like dimmed down and set under control, kept under lock, for thousands of years. So for the feminines, there's something to be gained by this. For the masculines, though, this could feel like losing control and power. Like the masculine energy could feel that it's under attack somehow. So it has to fight even more for its control, right? It has to keep it up. There can be this feeling of like a tension that is growing or has been growing, is growing. That something is coming in somehow, that it has to clash somehow. Because the masculine will fight for its control. It will keep it up. Because it believes that it has to. That the masculine energy cannot be equal to the feminine. It has to have the upper hand. It's a survival thing, right? It's because it can't be threatened. It must not be threatened. A masculine energy that is threatened is not strong. And one of the things we would like from masculine energy is strength, is containment. It has to keep up when it's the fort, it's the castle, right? It's the rock, right? That the unbreakable rock. That's the masculine. It has to be strong, right? It knows it has to be strong. But the masculine is so unhappy. Like the masculine feels so alone and so unhappy. It has gotten to a point where they keep up the fort and cannot even let her in. Not really. It's a collective masculine wound that we all carry. I've been facing this wound myself. He is so afraid to let his guard down. Like it's terrible, really terrible. And it's like the divine masculine energy, the fifth dimensional energy is around us. It's around Earth. It's a matter of whether we can allow it in. It's like we are all on guard somehow. I've said before that I believe many women, they are actually not feminine. They are masculine in their expression. They have to be. They're protecting themselves. They become organized, disciplined. They are solid, good, dependable workers. They are strong, healthy, they take care of they actually exhibit a lot of masculine traits because they have to. So the feminines become masculine And sometimes the masculine tend to become a little more chaotic, more feminine actually. This is a terrible trait. This is not it's not a good trait. So we have men who are players. We have men who don't take responsibility, who don't show up, who is not paying child support, who don't care, who run around and fool around and all this stuff. That is it's actually more feminine. It's not a masculine trait at all. So we can have feminines who have adapted masculine traits becoming attracted to men who are acting feminine. Who are unorganized, who don't have their things together, who do not have discipline, who is not serious. They end up with women who are highly serious and committed and organized, structured. They keep their home and children together. They have all the masculine traits. They're doing masculine work. So the men can play. Playing is feminine. It's a feminine trait. It's like the world has been reversed somehow. The energies have been reversed somehow. We are not happy. The masculines are very unhappy. The feminines are very unhappy. Both of them feel unsafe. Both of them may feel like they have lost themselves somehow. The unhappiness comes from disalignment. We are not aligned with our core. When the feminines become masculine, it's like it can make the men obsolete. Because the feminines can now do a lot of stuff that the men all were supposed to do. Providing, keeping the fort, protecting, But when the feminines or females do this already, it can seem like they don't need a man, but they do need a man, or they do need the masculine. We cannot exist without them. They cannot exist without us. I think this is a terrible development for both energies. So we get a lower vibrational expression of feminine and masculine energy in the third dimension. The lower vibrational state of men is dominance and control and competition and power games or power issues. The lower vibrational state of feminine energy is manipulation, mind games, lies, betrayal, all this stuff. And as we both have feminine and masculine energy in us, we will be a combination of this interacting with a combination of this in others from a low vibrational state. It's not a very good match. It's a downward pointing spiral. Because we do not see eye to eye. We haven't figured out that we need each other. Like literally need each other. We can't exist without. So we are blaming each other because we express ourselves from a very, you would say, egotistical or selfish core. We are protecting ourselves. That is the development we're in. We are self-protective. But the reason why we are self-protective is because we feel there's a threat. If there's no threat, there's no reason to protect myself. There's no reason to judge or to accuse. If I'm safe and you are safe, we can just have a good time, couldn't we? We could play and build together, right? It could be fun, actually. I think many people on this earth, they don't think life is fun. It's work. It's hard work. It's struggle. It's pain and suffering. Of course, I know there are some who don't, right? They actually have a good life. They don't struggle like that. But the inheritance that we all somehow come with is suffering, lack, pain, scarcity. That is the inheritance that many of us come from. So everyone who goes through their shadow work and are clearing out fears, shame, guilt, and mistrust, the further along you come with this, you can get to a state where the fear is no longer so dominant. And yeah, the feeling of like the hands come in that keep you, right? That can keep you. Even though you show up in the world differently. So for a masculine energy to change his ways, from maybe, like being in control, having the upper hand, is like a power release. That may not feel very well, right? On the feminine side, the feminines are releasing masculine energy. It means that they become softer. They become kinder. They become more open, more receptive, more psychic, more graceful. That is high vibrational feminine energy. When they do that, it would naturally encourage the men to protect them, because the softness of the feminine he's very attracted to that. He sees the beauty of it. But a man in control, in dominance, in being highly afraid of losing his power, he would, if an energy like this comes in, he could abuse it, right? He could take it and just domineer it. So the masculine, for the feminines to release their masculine traits, this also feels like a power release, right? They are getting softer, maybe more vulnerable, or in a competitive masculine world we would say weaker. But it's not weakness, is it? Like the softness, the nurture, the care, the kindness, the mother is not a weakness. Like if there is no world without it, if we take it out, what kind of world is left then? The world is already very masculine dominated. If we take even more of this out, what's left? There's only masculinity here then. There is no kindness. There is no mother. The mothers are not mothers. Like the mothers mimic masculines. They have to keep up, otherwise they are in danger, right? So releasing masculine traits feels dangerous for the feminines. And the masculines releasing their, you could say, the shadow side of masculinity, become true providers and caretakers that are in awe of each other. This is what we that we really have to understand, that there is an awe between them. In the fifth dimension, it's a very beautiful connection. It swings like it's at least in my experience, that's what I feel when I tune into that energy. It's extremely beautiful. And they see eye to eye. They understand now. There's telepathy here as well. They understand each other. And it's like, I think it's coming, right? It's in the future. It's just not maybe, well, it is here for some, right? Again, there are different timelines coexisting at the same time here, depending on where you are. So you can be on one timeline and you can have all your family on another timeline. I talked about that also in Aquarius energy. You can look, Aquarius reading. You can look that up. And we have to accept that sometimes, that we are on different timelines here. If you consider yourself a light worker, you can definitely be on a different timeline. If you belong to one of the 144,000, you will be on a different timeline than maybe your loved ones, your family. And the environment they are in could be third dimensional, and it's not vibing right with you. Right? So how do we fix this? I just feel like something has to start. Like there has to be a starting wave of something. The shadow work that is done, that is releasing a lot of low vibrational energy, is a starting point of this. And when the feminines become softer, it's very apparent to them that they can't stay with dominant, controlling, projecting, wounded masculine energy. They have to retrieve, like they have to walk away from it. They can't stay in some kind of toxic connection here. They have to go somewhere else. And these, like separations, these, it has to happen. It's part of the waking up process. So for you being a feminine water sign, you could have been feeling this a lot, being very, very open, needing to retrieve, to go somewhere else, another environment, right? Other people, other places maybe. Maybe more nature, leaving the big city or something. So I get this card, it's called the Violet Flame. Well, the Violet Flame for me is always a card of some kind of epiphany or aha moment. It's like, you see, there's an eye here in the cosmic realm that kind of sends energy down to her here. And with her arrow here, she points directly to the bullseye of the bullseye. It's like she has gotten the message, like I hear something here, I have it in my hand, and for some reason it helps me execute something, like hitting bullseye. This is exactly right. So this could talk about that your intuition is on point here, Pisces. Whatever you are involved with, whatever you feel, whatever you are in tune with here, it hits bullseye. It is correct. Whatever you are feeling that you must do, even if it means that you have to leave a relationship maybe, or a work situation, or you have to move somewhere else, or like you need maybe a different environment, what you are doing here, what you are tuning into here, and maybe manifesting, like because it's like this is her left hand, the feminine hand, and this is the right hand, her masculine hand. So it's like intuiting something in the feminine realm, executing with the masculine. So what you are intuitively feeling and what is coming in is correct, and you have the ability with your other masculine side to hit the bullseye on something. So whether this is, you have a way of a bit like above so below energy, that you think certain things and you have the ability to somehow manifest it in the physical realm, or you have an intuitive download about something and you actually see it happen. It plays out in the media, or you see it in your family. You are hitting bullseye with your intuition. Does that make sense? Like, so what you feel from the universe, what you can get there, is also what you're getting here. So if you're trying to manifest fifth dimensional energy, I feel like you could be achieving this. Like you have the way of hitting exactly right here. What it is that you're taking in or feeling that is coming in here, you're somehow also attracting it or manifesting it somehow here in the reality you're in. Does that make sense? Maybe even, I don't know, I wouldn't say a warning or an advice here, but because of this potency, I would say it could be important what you think at the moment. Like keeping your vibe up could be very interesting, because the vibe you get is what actually manifests. Like you could be a powerful manifester, Pisces, at this time. So what you think is maybe instantly going to happen. That's the fifth dimensional energy. It's quick. You think about something, next day it comes in. Where in the third dimension we have to work for something in a very long time before it actually, now we see a bit of a result of our labor, right? That's the third dimension. The fifth dimension is way quicker. But it means also the other things, that if you somehow think that you will have competition, you get competition perhaps. Just be aware of your thoughts maybe at this time. Try to keep that vibration off, so that what you're manifesting is actually like good things, right? That they are positive things. I think they are, though. Like, this feels like very quick incoming. Quick incoming. Like picking up on light codes, right? Or healing abilities here with the shining hand, right? Or glowing hand. That there's certain things coming in here, and it can easily be manifested here somehow. Could be an incoming of some kind of epiphany. Let me have a look at the bottom of the deck here. The bottom of the deck is usually a driver for this. So for this to come in, you're doing something, or you have been working with something. And I get She of the Lotus here. So what I always get from She of the Lotus is that something from the lower chakras are moving their way upward here. That's something that comes from, you could say, earth staff. So from underneath your feet, from down there, is working its way upwards to be maybe realized in your crown chakra, your brain. That this is something you have been holding on to, but has been, dimmed or something. Which makes sense, she of the Lotus, right? That the feminine energy has been under lock somehow. That she can't show herself, right? She has to protect herself in some way. She can't show up in her full essence and free. That there's something here that kind of pushes her down, and this thing here has to somehow be released, you could say, for her to come upwards. But it's there, it's a manifestation power, it's a psychic abilities, it's a way of, it's a key maybe. The feeling that if I can tune into what this is, it opens something. It may open, like my manifestation powers here, or it suddenly opens everything up here for me to have a free-flowing Piscean energy of spirituality here. Maybe religion, but definitely intuition or some psychic abilities. This feels like you're co-creating with the universe, where here you may be trying, but it's a bit muddled or dimmed somehow. She's green. Her face is green here, and this is blue. And it tells me that this is more grounded, earthy. Like, this is more grounded and earthy, where this is more air-like. It's more cosmic. It's more, maybe, as I said, religion, maybe God, or maybe spiritual, connecting with upper realms, where this feels a little more like it's connecting with the more earthy realm. not quite exactly your energy, Pisces. It's too grounded or too earthy here, I feel like. And it's slower. Again, I feel like it's slower and denser. You know. It's much slower in its way of coming in. It takes a lot of time. This is quicker. Yeah. So here on the left side we have the King of Raphael, warm, generous, honorable, refined. Yes, it is safe to trust, the ability to accomplish many things at once and follow your creative passion. So this feels a little bit like that it goes hand in hand with this. Yet yes, it is safe to trust. You are kept. Like this, it represents to me a bit like the encouragement that you need to trust that it's going to be all right. That whatever you are opening up to here, it's good. That it's a good thing. That even though, as I said, it could feel like this thing about trusting. It's safe to trust, which I believe that the feminine energy has been struggling with for a very long time, for like millennia here, right? That the feminine energy comes with this inheritance of that it can't really be safe here. The masculine that is here is not divine masculine. It doesn't see her beauty. It doesn't see her qualities as equal to him. It somehow wants to control it and keep an upper hand on it. Right? And therefore the feminine energy is on guard. So trusting here means, again, as I said, it's like the feminine have to release some of their masculine traits. And this comes with a sense of feeling vulnerable. What if I'm not safe here, right? Because my inheritance, all I know, all I feel, all I have felt growing up has been this masculine energy, but not divine masculine energy. But it's like the egg and the hen, something has to give, something has to change. Otherwise, we just keep the story going. We keep the third dimensional energy rolling. To change something, you have to change like the game, you could say. You have to do something to awaken something else in the masculine energy. Like if you take your masculinity away from the masculine men or the masculines out there, you're not creating a competition. So that there's something about the feminines becoming masculine is actually not helping the feminines. We believe we do it to protect ourselves, but it's not helping us. In the long run, not helping us. You see the problem, like if I show my softness, if I show my psychicness, if I show my sensitivities, it really depends on who I show it to, doesn't it? Who is this other thing that I'm showing it to? And how will they respond to it? Will they see this as a lucky opportunity to devour something? Will they see it as like virtuous beauty and they would like to protect it and keep it? Who am I showing this to? Because if I'm showing it to the wrong one, right, the wrong masculine here, I could be devoured. I could be slain, you know. Because when I become soft, when I become feminine, I lay down my weapons. I don't have any weapons. You know? I don't want to fight. That's another thing. I don't want to fight him, right? I want him to work with me. Right? I want us to connect. Not this friction thing, right? So there is something has to give. Like is it the hen that must come first, or the egg, or is it the feminine or the masculine that has to change first before the other one can show themselves? Can the feminine show themselves as soft and more you could say more motherly, more caring, more nurturing, more kind? If she shows that light, is she going to be in danger? Right? Is she going to be in danger? Or is it safe to trust? And for here I feel like yes it is. Again, figure out whom you're showing this to. Like it has to really be I think for you Pisces, a very intuitive, very psychically investigation that you can open more and more to something. So what you are opening to could be the spiritual realm, because the dimension you are in here doesn't allow for that kind of contact, right? The spiritual realm allows you to have a different connection, and something has to start. Like some of the more feminine traits have to be shown. Like some of the guard has to come down. Little by little, I think, around the world here. So that it takes the competition away. Like the power struggles. It's like if you have two friends playing in the playground, and both of them want to control the game or the play that they have, it will be a struggle, right? They will be angry with each other. If one is not claiming the how can I say this? If one is seeking to have a harmonious, peaceful playtime with the other, it takes the competition away. The other one can still, domineer and lead and or take lead and force something. But this can only exist for a certain amount of time. Eventually the other one is maybe retrieving, right? It's like when you take the friction out of the game, it's like it's not the same. I remember my son is Aquarius, right? And he is really not that much into competition. Like it's not really his thing. When he was very young, he had a friend, a boy he was playing with a lot, and he was actually an Aries. And it was very apparent that this Aries friend liked to be, he was impulsive, he had fun ideas, he wanted to execute them, and he liked my son to go along with it, right? one of the things that happened with them when they were playing, because my son was not someone who wanted to challenge him in his pursuit of this fun game. He just kind of followed along. He just wanted to play. It wasn't really that important what. It was important to be together. That was his aim, right? One of the interesting things that happened between them was that because of this interaction with each other, they actually played very equal with each other. There was not much friction here. It was seldom that they were fighting or hurting each other, because this other person, the Aries friend, he knew that he saw the kindness, you could say, or the openness in my son. It was not a challenge to his fire. He didn't feel threatened by him. So they could just play. Which was what my boy wanted. They could just play. Still today, if they come together, it's like there is this understanding that I could attack you because I have my fire. I could burn you, right? But why should I? Like, there's no reason to do that. There's no reason. And that's the whole point. There is no reason to attack if both of each other understand each other's light or power, or what you want to call it. It's not necessary if you see eye to eye. This is a beauty that they figured out as children. And another thing that happened was that this Aries friend, if he came across other boys who were more like him, like who had more, like they didn't want to, just follow his lead. They had friction, right? They were fighting. And it became ugly, So it's all about this understanding of the different approaches. If someone comes in as a peacemaker here, a peace seeker, the other one, if they recognize that, they would know, but they are not a threat to me. Of course, if I stay in my third dimensional masculine angry, wounded energy, I could attack them and domineer them and control them and exploit them. But if I choose to look at them as a friend, as a kind friend, then I could raise my vibration up and trust, right, that we can figure this out together. This is the whole point of shadow work, I believe. It's the whole point of what is happening on Earth at the moment, right? We are called in to, instead of have all this friction with each other, actually to look at each other and figure out, why is it that we feel so threatened by each other? Because we need each other, right? We need each other desperately. At the core of every feminine is an energy that wants to be soft. Wants to be creative. Wants to be flowy. Wants to just blossom. But to blossom, she needs, like a safe container. She needs a place that is, it likes her. It sees her beauty. It allows her to shine. and protects her and provides for her, right? That is, of every feminine, this is my claim, right? I believe this. And this comes from a feminine who has been living in a masculine energy for a very, very long time, defending herself, right? At the bottom of every feminine energy is this wish that something would hold me, right? That something can be there so that I can actually show the beauty. Because the beauty of the feminine is exactly what the masculine wants. He wants the beauty, the smiles. He wants the flirting eyes. He wants her free dance and have her free expression. Right? He wants her to be open and receptive. Right? He loves her dance in that way. And when the women armor up, well, it challenges the men because they can't, and she armors up when she gets frightened or when she gets threatened, when she can express herself like that. So it's a tumultuous story we are in. It's not a good story, right? The masculines cannot be divine masculines when the feminines are not allowing them to. And to allow them to, they have to become divine feminines. Own their femininity. Show up as feminine. Be soft. The softness would appeal to his, at least if he is in an awakened state, maybe not fully healed, but it would appeal to his masculinity. It would appeal to his protector mechanisms, to his chivalry, to his knighthood. It would appeal to that. It's but I get it, like when we are in third dimension, we have all kinds of manipulations and lies and mind games and power controls and cheating and all kinds of stuff going on. It's terrible. We don't see eye to eye. It's a terrible development. It has nothing to do with love. It's competition. It's power struggles. And both of them are amputated. That's the terrible thing. Both of them get amputated in this construct. Both of them are unhappy. So I feel like whom I'm talking to here, they may have a journey here where maybe there's someone here you are trying to trust, And this can be a person, of course. Someone warm, generous, honorable, and refined. Makes sense. More, you could say, divine masculine traits here. It's safe to trust the ability to accomplish many things at once, again quickly, and follow your creative passions. You see, it's like I feel like co-creating with the universe, co-creating with someone, something. But again, as I said, if you open yourself up and show something, who are you showing it to? like wouldn't it be nice if you had this one in front of you, right? Someone who is warm, generous, honorable, refined. Someone who understands you, sees your beauty, sees your dance, right? Is interested in seeing that flower of yours, that beautiful shine, that beautiful, warm, tender, gracious, open femininity. Someone who is patient, is willing to wait to see how it unfolds, right? Again, he's kind, this one. That's why you can trust him. He's not forcing you. These are some of the traits of love, opposed to power or pressure, right? That there's kindness, there's warmth, there's honorability. It's generous. It is patient. It's trustworthy. You know, it allows you to have the exact space you need and time to lean into it, you know, with your abilities to scan, right? To lean into it and open up. And that is the beauty of the feminine energy, that the feminine energy is not quick necessarily. It doesn't rush anything. It takes time to grow a plant. It takes time to develop a child in the womb. It's not just like that over time. It takes its time to constantly make sure that everything is in the right order, right? And I can actually open. I can actually show myself, right? And it cannot really be rushed. I said some of the same things in that Aries reading. I said that it's like Aries was looking for this key to open something and maybe would like to rush it a bit, like it should be now, right? But I had this feeling that it's going eventually to open itself up, and maybe, you know, like this is a way to open it by using Piscean energy, right? That you can't force it. I have, with the front picture of my readings, I have these hands with the clock on it, and for me it symbolizes God's speed or divine timing, that there is something that cannot be forced in here until the environment is right or the vibration is right. Maybe until you have raised your vibration to a certain point, some of this will come in, or some of this will present itself, right? It is like coming from deep down to maybe a higher state of consciousness. Well, it takes a while. It's a growth process. And again, if we are tearing down defense mechanisms, well, our ego will respond to it. Like our ego will try to say no to this, right? It goes against our normal instinctive reactions. So we're actually trying to overrule our defense mechanisms, and this is not normal. It's not normal. It takes a while. But it seems like there is something here that this can be trusted, this can actually work out. This is a possibility. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck here. So I get a King of Ariel here, so two kings here. as a driver, right? A driver here. So it says here, successful, stable, accomplished, and powerful. Your plans are working out well, professional and financial success, and using resources wisely. This is a more, what I would call a more earthy approach. And this is a driver. This is what you are used to, right? You're used to the masculine way, I want to say. The masculine way where these are buzzwords, right? Being successful, stable, accomplished, powerful. As I said, that is what I believe many women also try to be. Like they adapt these skills. They adapt some of these skills. They make plans. They can be successful. They are into professional and financial success. They're using resources wisely. You know, it's a very masculine king here. So this could have been a place that you come from, or a partner that you would normally seek. Early on in life, maybe you were looking for a partner like this. Because at that point in time, you could say your energy was under lock. You know, your feminine energy could be under lock, and how you presented yourself was more like this. As I said, you adapted a masculine energy to protect yourself. Most feminines do that, or have been doing that. They can't really show their true vulnerability, because it means that when I do that, and if there's nobody around me to like protect me in some way, I'm alone, right? And I'm pretty vulnerable in that state. In the third dimensional world. If this was a different dimension, it wouldn't even matter. I could show myself like fully. Because the masculines around me would also be fifth dimensional, so they would be what we call divine masculines. They wouldn't be a threat to me. Instead, they would love to embrace and be a container of the beauty that I have to show. Do you see the difference? It's so, we live in an amputated feminine and masculine version. I believe the masculines are actually very, very unhappy. Like it's their masculine traits cannot even come to the full expression. Like when they turn feminine, I feel like it's like a powerlessness. They don't know what to do with themselves. They give up. They let go. They lose themselves. They become derailed. You could say the feminines as well, they adapt masculine traits to stay safe, right? But actually it's a derailing energy. They can't stand in their full authentic flame. And the masculines can't either. It's really not, I don't see it as a very good development. We are not the same. Feminine and masculine energy is not the same. I know that there has been this evolutionary state in the 60s that same rights for men and women, and the same, wages, and the same this and that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily. It's just the way we try to attempt to be equal. We try to attempt to be equal on masculine terms. And it's not working out that well. And it's actually just creating more friction. Masculine friction. At least that's what I believe in. So the expression of the vibration to a human being, it's very personal. It's very sometimes private even. It is with a lot of emotions. And I feel like the message that is trying to come in from the fifth dimension is that we are not supposed to take this personal, but we are. We are stuck in the personal. So it keeps repeating itself. But it's a growth process. Like we have to kind of overcome that state and actually start to seeing the energies as compatible energies, not competitive energies. So on this side I have many paths. Well, I feel that I see kind of, like the different paths to enlightenment maybe, or contact, or connection, or harmony. To the center card is always important, so there could be this feeling, how do I harmonize something? How do I harmonize these incoming messages with maybe my daily work on earth? How do I incorporate everything? I get the feeling there are many ways to do this, of somehow grounding something or opening something. There are many ways to have connection, many paths that you could find success, Pisces. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck for this one. So I get the drum. The drum for me is like this, like a heartbeat. Dum, 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 dum. It's like hearing your heartbeat, right? Leaning into something very, or the heartbeat of earth, right? There's the vibration of something very steady, something very maybe authentic in you, right? Something that has been kept under lock, right? Listening to her here, right? The she of the lotus, listening to her vibe somehow, listening to the beat of Gaia Earth, right? Listening to something very primal maybe in you that is repeating some kind of message, I feel like, or feeling. And going with that, whatever it is. In the Aries reading, I talked about the sense that there was the dragon in the cave that felt, like encaged in some way, like he is supposed to unlock something or get himself out of that cage, but he couldn't find the manual, right? He couldn't unlock this cage or expand from the third dimension to the fourth to the fifth, right? He couldn't seem, it's like he was missing a key or a manual or something. And for some reason, I feel like the manual comes with this. Like the manual is there. It's like in the Aries reading, he felt that, and I think it's this Emperor energy that wants to, it is here, but it's like, how can it come in? How can it come in somehow? And I think the feminine is one of the keys for this. Like when she starts listening to her own drum, to her own natural inbuilt instincts, she can become that key for him. She becomes the drum, right? That he is supposed to listen to, right? When he listens to her drum, when he hears her message, her audio, her beat, her heartbeat, it's like the baby listening to the heartbeat of the mother. You know, like coming back to the roots of something. When he listens, when he can hear or witness this lighthouse beam of something, it's going to call forth something in him. It's going to unlock him. Do you get my point? It's like there was a vacant place in the Aries reading, like something was missing there to unlock him. And I felt he was the Emperor. I felt it was the divine masculine energy, but it's like he felt under lock somehow. That the third dimension keeps him under lock. That he can't seem to find his way out of this on his own. He needs help, right? He needs the beam of a divine feminine here to beam something at him. He felt like he had childlike instruments to deal, like the instruments that he could use to show up in the world was obsolete or old-fashioned. They were slow and they were filled with errors and flaws in the communication. Like he wanted to up his game. He wanted to step into a fifth dimension, but he couldn't. It's like he was the frame. The third dimension keeps him stuck in some way. And for some reason with you, Pisces, let me just think. Well, you know, like Aries and Pisces are very different energies, but for some reason I feel like it's like Aries is the start, Pisces is the end. It's almost like you are, if we take a circle, they have to meet at some point. Like you start the circle, right? And then it's like they have to connect at some point. This connection that now creates an ongoing circle that keeps spinning, right? The connection here has to be made somehow. But you know, it feels a little bit like the connection has not been made. So instead of we see the infinity symbol like this, it feels a little bit like they're spinning like this for themselves at the moment. The connection is not made, right? So that we have yin and yang, we have masculine and feminine, but they spin in their own spin here. They haven't gotten together somehow. I think, Pisces, you could be one of the messengers here who figure this out, because you do talk to the divine here. You do have the connection. You could be one of those who are delivered the key, the way to, you could say, make those two energies come together, you know. You could be the gravitational pull because of the beam that you start to send out, that it becomes a magnetic message that kind of draws him closer, right? It's like a gravitational pull that you get closer to each other. Instead of spinning out here, you now get closer to each other. Eventually, you meet up, right? Does that make sense? And I think there are many ways how to activate that beam, right? And I think there must be many ways. This can be a heart vibration, right? Some light workers, they sit in meditation and beam out this light from the heart space. Some speak, as I do here. Some work with audio, like they create the most beautiful, luminous audio feeds that you can listen to harmonize your energy, right? Some sing, some perform, some dance. You know, there are many ways how to make the beam, the drum beam, come out, to make the masculines out there aware of this new shift, right? That the feminines are calling them in, right? They call them to step up. They call them to heal, right? They call them, they attract them closer. They create a different gravitational energy field that is calling them closer to step up their game. That the feminines could be the first wave, right? That calls in for this healing for themselves and for the masculines, because they love them, right? We can't actually, there is so much love between these energies that it's unbearable. It's almost like the heart can even comprehend it. But at the moment they are so separate, it's terrible. It's so unrequited and so misunderstood, and they don't see eye to eye. It's a terrible, terrible situation. And both of the energies are very unhappy. And we feel the separation deeply, right? People constantly look for this other thing, this other person, their better half, right? They constantly look for it, but it's not working out. Generally, I want to say, not working out. I'm aware, of course, there are people out there who live in beautiful, harmonious relationships, but they are not that often. It's not that often. I feel there are many paths to get to maybe the harmonization, or to open the channel to have this connection with the divine. I believe this is both for feminines and masculines. The feminines have easier access to this. It's naturally inbuilt in them in a different way. It will take the masculines a little more time. They are not prepared in the same way. And here I don't talk about men, right? I talk about masculines. And with the feminines, I don't talk about only women, right? I talk about also men who have a lot of feminine attributes, or even astrological placements from what we call feminine energy. So the feminines are asked to start, I think, this drum beat of who am I, right? This is me, right? I am the divine feminine. I'm the divine feminine, right? I'm calling in my emperor, the divine masculine, right? That is the beam, that is what the feminines are asked to do, right? And they're asked to trust, send out a beam of trust and love towards him. He needs it, like he really, really needs it. The masculine energy is extremely alone. It's afraid. And when it's afraid, it's, it's trying to keep itself alive. It becomes derailed. It becomes shadowy. As does the feminine energy when it's threatened. It becomes domineering. The masculine energy becomes domineering, controlling, forceful, harsh, competitive, maybe even fiery. It can become angry, rageful, volatile, explosive, things like that. Yeah, look at this. I take another card for the drum here and I get the call. Do you see what I mean? It's like when you heal your heart and you become more feminine in your entire awareness, the thing that you send out, the way you show up, maybe the way you dress, maybe the way you walk, the clothes you wear, the way you speak, your tone of voice. When you start sending out that call, this beam, this signal, right, of grace, of love, of trust, you're calling him. You're calling him. I had this card come up. Which one was it? The call card. It has been here once before. Was it Scorpio maybe? Where there was this call also, actually I feel like with the drum also. I'm not quite sure. But the call came up as well. Was it Libra? Libra or Scorpio, I think, where again there was this sense of like a beam, like a lighthouse, that was Sagittarius maybe, that I can't remember. But I believe these two were together actually, and it came out with this beam, right? That you are calling something, you're sending out a message. Like when more and more feminine start to send out this message here, it becomes like a new vibration that occupies the air, you could say. It occupies the energy field. And when it starts to beam more and more, and more feminines wake up to this and become aware that this is my heart calling, right? I call them in. Right? It's actually a call for the lover. You call the lover in. The true one. It's that's what you're asking for. You're asking by the vibration you send out. Whether you are saying it or speaking it or writing it or singing it or whatever you're doing, you're changing your vibe. And it means that when you do that, you start to attract something else. You know, like when you lay your weapons down and you are no longer exuding so much masculinity, it allows for the masculine to think. It allows them to maybe reconsider. You know, when we are no longer a threat, we are actually asking them to work with us. We're asking them to listen. We're asking them to connect with their heart, because what they deep down look for is exactly what you have, what the feminine has. But of course, she is also asking for trust. She's asking that if I have to trust you, you know, come in trustworthy for me, right? I'm calling you to step up your game and meet me halfway here, to see me, right? To be my love, to be my love, right? To be my love and protector and you could say container, because then I can show you, I can be this for you, right? I can be this for you. But of course, who do you show it to, right? It has to be something that is not just like crushing it, right? So it has to be safe. You have to send out a vibe that you are connected with this inner beauty in you, this inner life force in you that is very special. It's not supposed to mimic masculine energy. You're calling in for your lover here. And there are many ways of doing this. Like, again, as I say, some are singing, some are dancing, some are choosing like the heart coherence. Some sit in meditation and prayer to hold space for the masculine, right? To show them trust and love, to sit in that vibration. There are many ways of being this beacon. You could say this is also a bit like a lighthouse, right? In the background here, there's this light, this drumbeat, this pulsation, this message, and there are many ways of reaching it or getting to it. I believe also for the feminines, maybe many healing paths that can take you here to this light. But it's about hearing that inner drum of yours, hearing the call. And then you become the call, you become the beat now that you send out to the masculines out there. You're asking them to step up their, when you step up your game, you're asking them to follow, right? Not in a forceful way, not in a domineering way, not in a, like, if you don't follow, the deal is off. Like, it's not in, there is no, you could say, time limit to this. It's really about, you could say, the greater good of humanity. It's a bigger, again, it's not selfish. It's about the greater good of the planet for future generations, right? It's about getting over ourselves, the private, personal threats that we feel, that we can somehow get over that and see that this is for the future. This is also for like future humanity here. It's for the greater good of something. That's why I heal my heart. That's why I step up as a feminine. That's why I choose to embrace my femininity. And I keep sending out this vibe, right? Which is very different than masculine energy. But it is what he is looking for. He looks for this. There is a reason why, when people divorce, who is the man looking for after a divorce? He looks for usually a younger, pretty woman who still trusts and who is still open and who is flirtatious or playful or fun to be around, who dances or sings, like is still the blossom, is still the flower, who still dares to be the flower, That's what he's looking for. To mend his wound. So you could say this is also a place of becoming the vibration you seek. So if you want a divine masculine in your life, you become the divine feminine, so you are a match. You become that voice here. So that you can attract the right one towards you. You're sending out that vibe. The right one will approach you, I believe, if you are vibing this, right? It will be a natural match. So yes, having trust and openness and receptivity and, being able to be free in your expression with him would be important. And if he is aligned with you, he would naturally seek to contain that. Not in a forceful, violent, domineering, controlling way, but it's in awe. Again, it's like he sees this beauty and it becomes his absolute goal to keep this alive, to maintain this, right? That would be his devotion. So the card I get, again, one and another card on the violet flame here. So I get the Knight of Cups here. This is who you want to come in, right? This is the chivalry, loving knight here. That he has a cup in his hand here. This is the one you want to attract, right? This is the one that you want to have come in. That he has something special to offer here, something that aligns with you, right? I said the call, it's like the beam you send out is for the lover, right? It's the lover you want to attract. It's not competition. He is more peaceful, this guy here. It's not about competition. It's about care, consideration, cooperation, understanding, empathy, maybe even more of those psychic gifts, maybe telepathy here. It's a heart coherent water element here. You become that beam, so you attract. But again, others could feel this about you, even those who are in low vibration. So you may still need to, scan a bit. That who are you standing in front of? Is it someone who exudes like the peaceful environment that you're seeking? Do you find that you can trust around that person? And if you do, yeah, you have probably found a match then. The many paths here could also suggest, I believe, something about that it's the coherency that is important, maybe not how they look. Maybe not their profession, maybe not their skin tone, maybe not their height or their build. It's about the coherence. It's about the empathy, it's about the telepathy, it's about the heart coherence or the voice vibration match. It's about the message, it's about the tune of something. Not necessarily, what we normally could go by, which is, the face on Tinder, the portrait on Tinder, or the money they earn, the status they may have in society, which is more like this, right? It's about how successful they were, or stable, or accomplished, or how powerful they were. But now it seems a little bit like it could be that you're looking for something else. There are many ways how they could show up here. Like maybe this could even be, like maybe you have a person in mind that you would like to attract, who could match a vibration. An emperor who is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying that maybe it's possible, maybe you can attract this one, but the experience of this could be in many ways. Maybe this special connection or this feeling comes with something else. Maybe you feel this in nature. Maybe you feel this in prayer. Maybe you feel this, as I said, when you sit and hold space here. Maybe this is where you feel the connection so strongly, right? Maybe it's with an animal here. There are many ways of finding this fifth dimensional energy, I want to say. There are also many ways of sending the drumbeat or the call, the way you can send a message out there can be in many different ways. You can have a heart that exudes a certain vibration. You can have a throat chakra that tells a certain message. You can sing a specific song. You can maybe have telepathy. That would be your crown chakra. That is, you could say, calling someone else. When you send a telepathy beam out, it's about to see if someone can respond. If someone is responding to it, it's like there's a contact with something, but you may not know who or where or what. But they respond to your message, right? This could be you call someone, you text them, or you are not doing either of them. You just have a beam that every time you walk on the street, you become this vibration, this energy field that is just sending out something here, right? And some will repel, like they will not be able to match you. They will not be able to come towards you. They are repelled by you. Some will probably come towards you. But the fifth dimension, well, maybe not many people are there yet. So if you're looking for a person, again, Godspeed, right? Godspeed on this, divine timing on this. Don't get discouraged, right? Keep your vibration up here. Keep sending out your beam. Because I feel eventually the bullseye is it will show itself where this is here for you, where you can find it, right? Where you can find it. So I take another card for many paths here, and now I get a very interesting card. I get Kali. So Kali is associated with what we call the dark feminine, or maybe the more rigid one, the mother of the universe, it's called. She says, I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. So it also means that the feminine shows her, I want to say, occult sides. We have skulls here. We see the face out here. There are many ways to achieve your new state of being or your fifth dimension. Many ways, many paths to that enlightenment or this freeing of your energy. Her attempt here is not to be an aggressive or violent woman. Her attempt is to free herself and show up with all of her, right? Sometimes she has to go through her own like rebirth, death and rebirth here, to show up in her own true, authentic version. She has to release all the pain here. And releasing pain or suffering is not necessarily a beautiful, graceful expression. It can be a very frustrating, bitter, feminine. And there are many ways of achieving what it is she is attempting to do. She is freeing herself from something dimmed here, like a dimmed version of herself. To get up and out of this means that she has to go through maybe her own transformational process. And I think it's needed. Like the Aries reading, it was very, very clear that there was a missing spot, like something was missing that is preventing him from stepping into more. And I feel like what is missing, it's like I said, it felt a little bit like sitting at the dinner table with an empty seat, and someone should be there, right? But they're not there. And because of that, the conversation is in a specific way. But if they had been there, it would be a different conversation. It would maybe be a much more free or authentic expression. But because they're not there, it's like there's a missing key to unlock something. And I think the missing key or the missing link has to do with the divine feminine. The building or the evolution of the divine masculine depends on the evolution of the divine feminine, and vice versa. So again, we are forced to look at each other instead of looking away and accusing each other, right? We are forced to look at each other and start building together here. Usually, I believe spiritual awakenings, the feminines are awakened first. So they start an evolutionary journey first, and they start calling here. Because their vibration changes, the counterpart, the match that they have, can feel it. They can feel that something is shifting, that something is changing. They may not like it. It's challenging them. But if you keep moving and raising your vibration, like it can only sustain itself for so long. Eventually, the call becomes so big for them to follow, because they can't stay separate from you for very long. The counterpart you have cannot stay separate from you very long. Like the separation of your vibrational scales cannot be too far apart. If they are truly your match out there, they will feel a pull of some kind. They will feel a change in the air, right? They may not understand it. You may not even know who they are. Again, as I said, they could show up. Maybe they are, they live around the world. You have no idea who they are. But you are calling them here. And I think they can hear it. They just may not know exactly what to do with their situation. And this is where it is important to send them this, to send them trust. That you trust in them. That you trust that they will hear you, that you trust in their love for them, even though it may not seem like that you trust in their love for you, and you're calling them home, you could say, right? You're calling them home. I believe that's what light work is. It's about calling all of us home. The Kali card also corresponds a bit with the black candle. I said in the Aries reading, it was the first reading I did with the black candle, and I felt a bit off with it. I knew it was the right candle, but it just, well, the black candle for me usually corresponds with something a bit occult. Something that is on the edge of something. Leaning maybe a bit on the darker side, like, and now she shows up here, right? That it's what we call the dark feminine. Medusa, Durga, Kali. Some of these feminines are like, they can have like an ugly expression. So the way to come to your own truth could be through a lot of repressed feminine anger or bitterness or pain. I feel pain with her here, right? That like the pain that she has been living with here, like this repressed state of hers is tormenting. And what it does is that it brings out the real worst in us, like of the feminines. We become so shadowy. And facing that shadow, facing all these thoughts and feelings it's painful. And for a Piscean energy, we could maybe run a little bit from that, because it feels frightening. It feels aggressive. It's like feeling some of the. It's actually a power in you, but it's not a kind one. Like it's feeling the last resort of the feminine. Like this is what the feminine is forced to use when she is threatened the most. Like this is the face that she gets when she's threatened the most. But it's so far away from her love state, like from her light. This is last resort. And maybe the path here leads to that last resort. That the drum here and the call you're making is a last resort of it's I don't know what else to do, the feminine would say. I can armor up and pretend that I'm a masculine and I can do by myself, but actually it's a last resort. If we keep doing this, we're killing our species, right? We kill ourselves. We are so amputated already. This is like a last resort of calling in what's actually who I am. This is an honest conversation. I'm not hiding anymore, right? I'm showing you who I am. I'm calling you here with tears in my eyes. That's what she's doing, right? Because I don't know what else to do. So yes, maybe my way of achieving my goal, or maybe my way of calling you here forth, is weird or strange or even occult here. But I don't know what else to do. So there are many ways of getting to become this beam of light, and none of them are wrong. None of them are wrong. But it could be, like it really has to put down defenses is not an easy task. Like you really have to look so deep inside you to see what the true truth of you is. What is your truth? And if your truth is love, there is no other way. There is no other way of putting your armor down. The masculine barrier is just a pretense, right? It's not who you are. And I believe that for all the feminine zodiacs, all those who feel that they represent feminine energy more than masculine, love is the base from where they all speak, but they have had to armor up, which is not a natural state for them. And it's exhausting. They don't want to. So Kali is a highly transformative, can be a bit occult. Like it's going deep, I feel like. She's facing herself of all what she is. And it's probably required because it's actually what she's also asking the masculine to do, to face what he is, all of him. And she's calling him home. So for some reason, again, I feel like Aries and Pisces, like you are the start of something and the finish of something, or the lock of something. Like instead of two spinning energies separate from each other, you can be one of the main factors that they start gravitating towards each other and eventually meet up. So if you are doing spiritual work here, you are doing great, Pisces, even though it may not feel like that. And even though you know, like you have been working with everything you can here. I think you are hitting the bullseye. This is important to remember. This is the center card. You have done well. This is the violet flame. It's highly spiritual. I have a high priestess here. And she's doing everything she can to call him home. Call him back home. Maybe with tears in her eyes, but that is how deep this is, how profound this is, and how real and authentic it is, and pure it is. Okay, so this is what I have, Pisces, for you. Changing your ways, definitely. And divine timing is here. You know it, I think. Again, if this is going to be a loving approach, it cannot be forceful. And I think you know that. You are right here. Whatever you're doing, it is right what you're doing. But sometimes we want to see the result. Sometimes we want to not be discouraged, right? Sometimes we want a proof of something. I think you are on point here. So maybe I'm just telling you that, like maybe that's what you need to hear, right? That because you are calling from a place of love, this cannot be forceful. It has to be in divine timing, and it has to be right. And respectful, like you respect the journey of the other. It's respecting the circumstances of the wounding. Respecting that it takes time. And it also takes the tearing down of the ego defenses. And they can be pretty strong, right? That could also be what this talks about, that you had to like really push through with something. Like you had to stay steady here, right? To like stay your ground here of what you are. Knowing that maybe like the energy out there may not like it, right? What you're asking of it, they may not like it, but you're doing it anyway. Because it's about the truth of who you are. And you're asking them to face the truth of who they are. And yes, sometimes when we do that, we are not the nice one, like we stand our ground in some way. This is who I am. Who are you, right? Are you right for me? Will you be right for me? Will you consider being right for me? Or will you stay where you are? But respecting their process, maybe they stay. We don't know that. We don't know it. Kali also means that sometimes we are facing our own I want to say terrible feelings of what if this is not going to happen? What if this other energy there, whom I'm trying to call here forth, what if I become this lighthouse as nobody is responding to this? Then you have to go through all the feelings of that, right? The feelings of nobody responding to who you truly are, your truth. And that can be a feeling of being in a very vulnerable place and nobody is responding. Then you meet Kali as well here, because she's you can have a lot, like there can be so many different feelings here of like rejection and abandonment and fears and anxiety and bitterness and rage and all kinds of stuff with her. But it's just to say that light work is not always pretty, right? Light work can be very, very I want to say heart-wrenching, actually. It can really push you like to your, I want to say, almost last resort. So in the book here, when I talk about Kali, the mother of the universe, it says, Kali embodies the ultimate wake-up call to get us aligned as soon as possible with what we have come here to do. This Hindu goddess is the most fierce form of the dark divine feminine. She is that which brings all things to life or to an end. Again, as I said, it's like a last resort. Her name comes from the sacred word meaning the fullness of time. Kali is first mentioned in the 6th century Devi Mahatmyan, when the goddess Durga is threatened by 2 demons. Kali emerges from the rage furrowed in Durga's forehead and slays all the demons with ease. This is why she is often depicted or pictured holding the severed head of a demon, which represents the ego or false beliefs and illusions. She appears wrathful, and yet she is considered to be the most loving. She is like a mother desperate to grab her beloved child from out of harm's way, willing to yank them from the path that they were on in order to bestow freedom. Her iconography often depicts her as standing on the naked body of the Hindu god Shiva. He is her consort, and together they represent the power available to us when we are honored by the masculine and the feminine within us. And Kali is the feminine that's called on when the masculine has gone out of balance without us and in this world. This is what I talk about. It's like a last resort. It's actually, it can come across a bit like a desperation. She's fighting for herself, but also for her love. She's the divine protectress and the mother of the universe, because she can cut through illusion and grant us the reality our soul come to manifest. She's very, very powerful energy. Kali is as subtle as a sledgehammer. She shows up to strip us from what no longer serves us. And that sounds good in theory, but in practice it can feel as if the ground beneath us has turned to sand. All those illusions about ourselves, especially what we think we are capable of, suddenly dissolves beneath us. When Kali sweeps in, we can easily slip into feeling like a victim. It can feel as though events are happening to us rather than for us. Kali doesn't want us to waste another precious second being someone we are not. She doesn't want us to be with a partner who doesn't treat us with the respect and love we need to do the light work we are come here to do. Kali wants to sever the ties our ego has made out of fear or out of a false belief that we don't deserve better or more. She wants us to get terrifyingly real. She wants us to reckon with the fact that we are not here to please others or to make them proud. We are here to listen to the singular call of our own soul. Kali is the harbinger of having entered Kairos, soul time, and stripping the ego to reveal the soul can feel raw and often heartbreaking. But ultimately, Kali has come out of fierce love for the truth of who we really are. She is giving us the opportunity to choose again, to start over, and this time from a place of tremendous wisdom and strength, our vulnerability. She lets us begin again from the bare bone truth of who we are. Like the soul calls you here forth, right? To build again, right? To build something that is you. And stand in that glow, stand in that light, this fierce light of who you are. Not to run away. To overcome those fears. But she is, I have met her, in my own journey. It can wrench the heart, right? It's really, yeah. And it says here many paths, yeah. And one of the paths can be with her. Like she is desperately truthful and she has no time to waste. It's a last resort. It's almost like desperation, like a lion, like a lion defending her cub. She can become that fierce. And for you, Pisces, it seems like, growing claws, but that's pretty much what she can do. Normally I don't talk so much about like the dark feminines. I have mentioned them before, but with the black candle here and this feeling, it has kind of been molding through the readings. I felt it like when I sat down and did the Aries reading, I felt it was present. Like when she turns up here, and for your reading, the last one, it actually makes sense that she has been here. Like it's the tipping over into the more, from we say light work or shadow work, to a bit occult, different energies that are meshing in with this. No more ego, right? No more excuses. No more masks. No more mind games. Like she's here to speak the truth. And that is what your heart, is calling for. It calls for this. Time's up, right? We have to change something now. So the beam has to change. My beam has to change. My message, my authenticity. I can't take more crap, right? That's what she says here. No more crap. Let's get real. But let's get real also means that they need to face each other. This is what I have, Pisces. I don't know if you have ever met Durga, Medusa, or Kali, but they're very, very powerful feminine energies, and we can't, they are part of the feminine energy, and it's last resort. It's vital that we have them. Like we are not lovey-dovey all the time. Like the feminine energy, when it's threatened, we can turn into these energies here. We can become this. And as being in that vibe, being in that vibe here, dimmed, is not a good state to be in as a feminine energy, right? It needs to flow more freely. And in that space, it would desperately, fight for its freedom, fight for its existence. And then they come in handy here. Then they are actually very, very fierce. And the feminine energy needs it. It cannot, like the vulnerability is extremely raw and passionate. And when she is in that state, like she takes no crap there, right? She's very direct and intense and focused. Like when she looks at you, like this piercing look here. she is even, blue here, like this one, I don't think that she is in a Kali state here. She's more balanced, but she may have been. Like to become blue, she may have been, right? The enlightenment and something, it's not always just a straight line through just bliss and happiness and joy and warmth and gratitude and light and everything. For some, doing the shadow work is like, this is this. She's the mother defending herself, her creation, her children. And it is a bit of a last resort, like she has come far away from her, or she may look like she's far away from her original core, but actually she's right in it. She's standing right in it and she's defending it for life. But masculine energies don't like this. Like they don't like women like this that are here, because they are lethal. Like they are very dangerous when they are in this place. And they have a very clear-cut message. No mind games. Let's get the truth on the table here and face each other, right? That's what she's saying. Calling him in. And if he's not coming, like she is in tremendous pain here. And aggression. Like she can slay demons here. The worst ones. In the name of love, she's slaying demons. Maybe that's what you have been doing, slaying demons, which can be your own ego illusions and so on, slaying demons in the name of love. This is what I have for you, Pisces. Pretty intense reading. I hope this helped somehow. But for some reason, I also feel like it's important for the feminine energy to actually know how powerful it is, that it is fierce, that it's fighting for something very particular. I said that in all the other zodiacs, that each zodiac, it's like it's fighting for something very special. That there is a core, an innate core, that we are somehow protecting by all means. We would do anything we can to keep this alive, to fight for it, to the last claw, right? Even though we don't have claws, like we grow them then, right? because it's so vital, it's so important that it cannot, change. It cannot be killed, right? It's worth it. Like, it's worth it to fight for this. That's why you're doing it. That's why you slay the demons. That's why you slay your demons. Maybe the demons of feeling inferior, that you don't have what it takes, that you are not worth fighting for. You have to slay those demons, right? You have to slay those illusions. That's what she's here for. But as I said, there are many ways. Some take the light pathway, sitting in meditation and bliss and light. Some they slay demons here. By overcoming their own fears, their own ego triggers, their defensive mechanisms, they break it all down. Become powerhouses of love. This is what I have, Pisces. I send you my very best. Take care of yourself. This seems like a pretty important process. Take your time, Godspeed and divine timing with this. Maybe it hasn't come in yet. Maybe you're right in it with Kali, But you are on point. You're on point here. You will get to the bullseye. You will get there, right? Take care of yourself, Pisces. Love and light to you. Bye-bye.